If you thought the scariest creatures in the ocean were bloodthirsty sharks and man-eating monsters, then this will scare you. Before diving into the water next time, you might want to check out what else is down there, starting with some surprisingly terrifying seafood. From cannibal crabs to ultraviolet shrimp with superpowers, here are the 15 most dangerous crustaceans in the world. But before we begin, go ahead and subscribe to our channel and leave a like. Now, let's get started. Number 15. The fearsome brown crab. The Cancerpagoros, commonly known as the brown crab, is a cunning predator that tirelessly patrols the sandy and rocky bottoms of the oceans around the British Isles. Its presence, though often overlooked, keeps local beachgoers always on alert when entering the coastal waters. This imposing exoskeletal creature is, in fact, the largest species of crab in Europe, with an average span of 20 centimeters. However, exceptional individuals can reach impressive widths of 30 centimeters and a weight equivalent to that of a human newborn, about 4 kilograms. Equipped with 8 agile legs and 2 incredibly strong claws, the brown crab possesses a pair of formidable pincers that exert crushing force. Its crushing power is 4 times that of a human hand, capable of generating an absurd pressure of 90 pounds per square inch. A pinch from these claws can easily break small bones or even cause a serious injury. Therefore, any distraction while stepping carelessly in shallow waters can result in a painful pinch that is not easily forgotten. A master of camouflage, this crafty crustacean patiently hides under mats of seaweed or among submerged rock formations, waiting for the opportune moment to surprise its prey. Its menu is as varied as it is impressive. In addition to hunting small fish and mollusks, the brown crab does not hesitate to feast on its own kind. Being a cannibalistic and opportunistic predator, it consumes any marine life it encounters, from decaying carcasses to fresh shellfish. Although it is a relentless hunter and strategist, this intimidating creature also finds its way onto the human menu. Known as the edible crab, it is widely appreciated in cuisine, particularly in Europe. Perhaps this is exactly why the brown crab has become so aggressive and resilient. After all, fighting for its survival has become a constant necessity. Number 14. Mantis shrimps, small but deadly. At first glance, a shrimp may seem like an harmless and even fragile creature, right? Well, that just means you haven't heard of the mantis shrimp yet. This exotic crustacean is completely different from its shyer, calmer relatives. Also called stomatopod, it carries an unfriendly nickname, thumb splitter. And believe me, there's a reason for that. Anyone who dares to handle this little beast without proper care should be prepared to face painful consequences and possibly a serious injury. These vibrant marine creatures can reach lengths between 10 and 20 centimeters, with a life expectancy of about 3 to 6 years. They are frequently found in the Indian and Pacific Oceans, hiding among coral reefs, enjoying the safety provided by these natural formations and the abundant food supply available. Their diet includes fish, small crustaceans, and crabs, and their hunting skills are extremely effective and, in some cases, brutally violent. There are numerous species of mantis shrimp, but they can all be classified into 2 distinct groups, the smashers and the spearers. These designations come from their lethal hunting strategies, which are as impressive as they are terrifying. The smashers are equipped with a powerful club-shaped appendage known as the dactyl club, which they use to deliver devastating blows to their prey. This biological hammer reaches an impressive speed of 80 kilometers per hour, comparable to the firing of a revolver bullet. The impact is so intense that it can literally reduce its victim to pieces. The spearers, on the other hand, have a sharp, barbed appendage, which they use as a deadly spear to puncture their prey with surgical precision. Imagine a sharp skewer piercing an unsuspecting fish. That's the reality in the world of these relentless predators. Despite their relatively small size, the mantis shrimp is a true powerhouse of strength and strategy within the animal kingdom. Their extreme power allows them to capture and eliminate prey much larger than themselves. Now, we can only hope that these little underwater assassins never figure out how to hunt humans. Number 13. Coconut crab, the palm thief. If you're exploring a remote island in the vast Asia-Pacific region and suddenly encounter a gigantic crab, seemingly friendly and extending its claw as if it wants to greet you, be very careful. This is not an innocent invitation. The powerful claw of the coconut crab has crushing strength, capable of exerting a pressure approximately 10 times greater than that of a human hand. Globally recognized as the crustacean with the most intense bite in the animal kingdom, this impressive creature masters the art of destruction with its powerful claws, making other crabs mere apprentices surpasses in terms of strength. Its power is not limited to its crushing grip. This true mutant of nature can lift an astonishing 28 kilograms, a weight comparable to that of a small child. Therefore, it's better to keep your distance, especially if you're with children or pets. A hug from this sea colossus wouldn't be cozy at all. Its name is no coincidence. It has enough strength to break coconuts with ease, so imagine what it could do to something as fragile as your unprotected hands. Fortunately, there's no need for extreme panic, as its monstrous size makes it hard to go unnoticed. With an average weight of 4 kilograms, a body length of approximately 40 centimeters, and legs that can extend up to almost a meter, the coconut crab won't be able to hide behind your beach bucket and shovel. If you spot one, admire it from a distance and never attempt a handshake. Number 12. Pistol shrimp. This small crustacean might not look particularly intimidating, but the pistol shrimp actually has a powerful strike. Also known as the snapping shrimp, this marine creature has a secret superpower. Look closely and you'll see that its front claws are very different in size, sometimes reaching half the length of the shrimp's body. This mutant claw is the key to the pistol shrimp's enormous power. When preparing to attack its prey, the shrimp opens a chamber at the tip of its large claw to let in a bit of water. Then, by closing the claw, the pressure created pushes the water out with insane force, creating bubbles. This might not sound scary, but these bubbles travel at about 60 miles per hour, 96 kilometers per hour, a speed fast enough to stun or even kill its prey, real bubble bullets. When they burst, these bubbles make a snap so loud that a species of pistol shrimp called Synalpheus pink floydii, no joke, can produce sounds reaching 210 decibels. To put this into perspective, a real gunshot ranges from 140 to 175 decibels, showing just how insane the volume generated by these little creatures is. The pistol shrimp's abilities are so incredible that the Netflix action movie Project Power created a superpower inspired by it for Jamie Foxx's character, giving him the ability to destroy high-speed bullets and demolish enemies with an extreme force pulse. I guess being called a shrimp isn't exactly an insult after all. Number 11. Crawfish. Crawdads, mudbugs, yabbies, and crawdaddies, as they are also known, these crustaceans with their peculiar appearance and sharp claws go by many names around the world. Commonly enjoyed as a culinary delicacy, they are rarely associated with any kind of frightening threat. On the contrary, they are generally considered just a tasty and harmless meal. However, there is one disturbing exception that can turn this peaceful image into a true nightmare. Have you ever watched those old sci-fi movies exploring invasions by mutant creatures endowed with extraordinary abilities and an uncontrollable ambition to conquer the planet? Well, it's not just fiction. There is a species of crawfish that has been leading a silent and real invasion. Accidentally created in an aquarium in 1995, the marbled crawfish has been proliferating at an alarming rate, spreading across various regions of the planet and causing a devastating impact on the ecosystems it encounters. In a surprisingly short period, just 2 decades, this highly adaptable species has already managed to establish itself on different continents, such as Europe and Africa. What makes this creature so dangerous is not only its environmental resistance, but its terrifying ability to reproduce. The marbled crawfish is made up exclusively of females and has the unique ability to clone itself indefinitely, multiplying exponentially without the need for a reproductive partner. This biological phenomenon gives this species an overwhelming advantage over native crawfish, leading to their extinction and dramatically altering the aquatic ecosystems where it settles. With its uncontrolled proliferation and lack of natural predators, this crustacean poses a real threat to biodiversity, jeopardizing the stability of various food chains. If the idea of clonable creatures taking over the world sounds like a horror movie plot, it's because, in a way, it really is. The marbled crawfish continues its relentless expansion with no signs of slowing down. So, the next time you look at an aquarium that seems harmless, it might be wise to think twice, because an army of unstoppable creatures could be emerging right before your eyes. Sleep well, if you can. Number 10. Chinese mitten crab. The appearance of the Chinese mitten crab with its furry claws is frightening, though somewhat comical. Gloves are not the scariest attire, but don't be fooled. These invasive crustaceans are definitely up to something. And you know that's why they're here among the 15 most dangerous crustaceans in the world. Native to China and the surrounding areas of Japan and Korea, the furry-clawed crabs have managed to spread across the world. They were either intentionally bred to be raised as food or, more often, traveled hidden in the ballast of ships and emigrated abroad. But why is this a a problem? Well, they like to gather in large groups and all dig burrows along riverbanks, destroying the areas they pass through. Their digging has even caused levees to break. That's some dangerous digging. And as if that weren't enough of a problem, the eastern lungfluke loves to live inside the Chinese mitten crab, waiting for an unsuspecting human to come along and eat a slightly undercooked crab so it can invade. And yes, it's as disgusting as it sounds. A flatworm that is born and lives in its lungs. Scary. Number 9. The American lobster. You've definitely heard of these well-known crustaceans. You've probably even seen one, but there are a few things you might not know about lobsters. Stay tuned to learn more. Commonly seen in upscale restaurants, cooked, dipped in butter, served with lemon slices and decorative greens, eagerly devoured by food enthusiasts, the American lobster is, in fact, fascinatingly strange. Starting with its obvious and bizarre appearance, these lobsters, like other crustaceans, wear their skeletons on the outside of their bodies, frequently shedding them and creating a new exoskeleton every time they outgrow the old one. But that's just a standard oddity of crustaceans. The American lobster has some unique physical features that seem like they were created in a laboratory by aliens. If it damages one of its 10 legs, it simply sheds the broken one and grows a new one. And what about teeth? I know it's strange to imagine a lobster having teeth, but these aren't crushing teeth. You won't look at your plate and see your dinner smiling back at you. The teeth of the American lobster are actually located inside its stomach, and if that's not creepy enough, its stomach is located in its mouth. This creature is truly more than just a delicious delicacy. Number 8. The floral egg crab. Also known as floral egg crabshawl crab, or by its scientific name Targetis floridus, it is a small species of mud crab found mainly in Southeast Asia and extending to the waters around Australia. These tiny crustaceans, with their smooth shells and aesthetic patterns that may appear innocent and even beautiful, hide a deadly secret. Although their delicate appearance suggests they are harmless, they actually carry a substance as lethal as the famous butterfly fish. If you've ever heard of this peculiar fish, you surely know that it is capable of deceiving the most unsuspecting, as it contains a toxin known as tetrodotoxin. This poisonous substance is up to 1,200 times more lethal than cyanide, a poison known for its high mortality rate. But how does this connect with the small crab that looks like it's wearing a grandmother's shawl? The answer lies in its legs. Despite its harmless appearance, this crab contains exactly the same deadly substance as the butterfly fish, which is released through its legs. In other words, by consuming this crab, you would be condemning yourself without even realizing it, as the effects of the toxin are devastating and extremely fast. So be careful and avoid the floral egg crab. Number 7. Japanese spider crab. A large part of the fear surrounding these specific crustaceans comes from their size. The largest crabs in the world, the Japanese spider crabs, have 10 legs that can extend up to 3.8 meters and weigh nearly 20 kilograms. Big enough to consume a human child. But before you panic, let's learn a bit more about these underwater monsters that resemble spiders. It wouldn't be fair to judge them just by their appearance. Masters of camouflage. Japanese spider crabs live at depths of 150 to 200 meters, where they use their surroundings to cover their shells and blend into the environment, making them almost invisible to predators, which might explain how they can live up to 100 years, with some surviving even longer. But these giant crustaceans are more likely to be hunted by octopuses or rays than to pose a significant threat. They are scavengers and typically find their food in the decaying remains and debris of animals and plants on the ocean floor. However, there are many legends about these creatures, and while they don't kill humans to feed, they have no problem devouring any corpse that may fall to the ocean's depths. I think this macabre idea is enough to give them a certain reputation among old sailors. The Japanese spider crab is really just minding its own business, being a simple crab. Let's stop judging them. After all, they clean up quite a bit of dead and disgusting things. Number 6. The Remipede, which resembles a swimming centipede. This small cave dweller, completely blind, may seem harmless at first glance, but don't be fooled. This tiny creature has surprising skills to protect itself. The Speleonectus tulumensis, primarily found deep in the underwater caves of Central America and Mexico, has a particularly dark and effective technique for capturing and feeding on its prey. If you're having lunch, you might want to put your snack aside because what's coming next is nauseating. This seemingly harmless swimmer uses its sharp fangs to inject its prey with a lethal combination of enzymes and neurotoxins that first paralyze the victim and then transform the contents of the unfortunate prey into a viscous and easily digestible substance. The Remipede then sucks up this nutritious substance and discards the rest, like the skin or parts of the fish. As I said, it's a repulsive process. However, despite the grotesque nature of this adaptation, it is impressive to see how this agile crustacean uses its ability to paralyze its prey. This ensures that, even without vision and with little physical strength, it can capture its meal efficiently. A truly relentless and efficient adaptation. But don't worry too much. These creatures are so rare and special that scientists interested in studying them must venture into deep and dangerous dives in underwater caves to find them. So, don't expect to see one of these creatures sipping on a shrimp milkshake in your local pool. Number 5. Mud crabs. Mud crabs can be found in mangrove swamps, streams, and estuaries scattered throughout Australia, Asia, and Africa. The mud crab, scientifically known as Scylla serrata, is a crustacean that is hunted and farmed primarily for human consumption. These crabs are highly valued by fishermen and food enthusiasts around the world, sought after for their flavorful meat and unique texture. However, the search for these crabs is no easy task, as it involves considerable risks. Traversing the vast mudflats and dense mangroves, which are natural habitats teeming with crabs and possibly other predators like crocodiles, can be extremely dangerous. Mud crabs strategically bury themselves just below the surface of the mud, creating an environment that allows them to easily conceal themselves while settling comfortably. They are not at all welcoming to intruders in their territory, and the mud or shallow waters make it difficult to spot these crustaceans, making the task of finding them even more challenging. Therefore, it is essential to be cautious when walking on this unstable and treacherous terrain. If a mud crab feels threatened, it can use its enormous, sharp, and extremely strong claws to defend itself, capable of causing significant damage to any part of the body that comes into contact with its pincers, especially the ankles. If the mud crab manages to grab someone, there is a high likelihood that it won't release its prey. In an impressive move, the crab can lock its powerful claw and even continue to hold tight, even after losing its own claw to escape a predator. This happens because these crabs have the ability to regenerate their claws, making this defense strategy even more effective. This is a clever way to rid itself of a threat, leaving the predator in a painful and frustrating situation while the crab gains a new claw accessory to continue its life. Number 4. The Mosaic crab. Now, as we approach the end of this list, we're about to meet some of the scariest crustaceans you probably never knew existed. Next, let's talk about the most poisonous crab in Singapore. Who would have thought there would be poisonous crabs, let alone a variety of them, exclusively in Singapore? This toxic terror inhabits the coral reefs and shores of various regions, including Singapore, China, Indonesia, Japan, Thailand, Australia, Vietnam, and French Polynesia. It stands out with its vibrant orange-red color that immediately catches the eye and features a unique and distinct white mosaic pattern spread across its shell. Although it's another hairy-legged crab, it's not very large, measuring about 8 to 10 centimeters, and it has short pincers. The most frightening characteristic of this crab, however, isn't its size, nor its sharp claw, and certainly not the threatening gaze it gives when it feels threatened. No, the real threat of this crab lies in the deadly venom it possesses. This crab is one of the most toxic species on the planet, making any encounter with it extremely dangerous. If I were you, I'd keep a safe distance. There are many reports of deaths caused by this crab, and it's often cited as the fatal cause in several investigations. The crab contains neurotoxins so powerful that cooking its meat doesn't eliminate these toxic substances. In other words, the only way to avoid the threat is to stay far away from it. Interestingly, this crab seems to be a true poison accumulating machine, as it manages to obtain these lethal substances from one of its favorite snacks, the poisonous sea cucumbers. It may sound like an exotic dish, but it's a deadly meal for the crab. So, if you come across one of these, keep your distance, because it won't hesitate to kill you if given the chance. Number 3. The emerald crab. Continuing with the list of deadly crabs, we have the emerald crab. Don't be fooled by the pretty name or the bright green color. This crab is full of harmful toxins, just like the others found in the hot and tropical Caribbean Sea. The emerald crab, or Mithraculus sculptus, the scientific name of this creature, can be found feeding on algae and scouring the typical debris at the bottom of the sea. It has an extraordinarily alien green color, but don't even think about tasting this little crustacean. It is packed with the same deadly mix of neurotoxins that some of our old friends from the death crab gang carry. However, if you manage to control yourself and not devour one of these beasts, having it in your aquarium is like having a trash collection service always active. Just saying. Number 2. The curry puff crab. At first glance, it may seem like an incredibly delicious and appetizing Indian snack, but before getting too excited, it's better to think again. The curry puff crab, scientifically known as Platypodia granulosa, not only bears a surprising resemblance to our old and feared enemy, the floral crab, but it also shares some of the traits that make it one of the deadliest creatures in the animal kingdom. This is yet another one of the extraordinary crabs that make up Singapore's Death Club, a group of incredibly dangerous creatures. The name of this crab comes from its remarkable resemblance to the famous curry puff, a traditionally stuffed snack found in various cultures, especially in Indian cuisine. However, this is where the similarities between the crab and the snack end and what follows is far more concerning. Although it's true that this brown-shelled crustacean is not technically poisonous enough to directly attack with a fatal bite, which could cause you to collapse immediately, it is, in fact, a highly toxic animal. This means that, while it cannot literally bite you to death, contact with it can be extremely risky. One of its main talents is camouflage, which makes it even harder to identify and avoid a potential encounter. Furthermore, if you have any tendency to be allergic, and this assessment, as simple as it may seem, can be somewhat tricky, especially in an environment where you are unlikely to encounter one of these crabs safely. In these cases, it is highly advised not to have any contact with a curry puff crab. Even in a controlled environment, the risk of an allergic reaction is quite high. Therefore, the best recommendation is to stay calm, not be fooled by appearances, and most importantly, not confuse this crab with the snack that inspired its name. This way, you'll likely be safe. But remember, even the simplest of accidents, like choking on a curry puff, can be more dangerous than it seems. Number 1. The serrated spooner crab. This crustacean has a name with confusing messages. Its serrated character can make spooning, hugging, uncomfortable. But either way, that's a strange image. Let's move on and stop imagining a hug with this crab. Let's discover some interesting facts about the dangerous serrated spooner crab. This frightening crustacean lives in coral reefs in Asia, in Singapore, the Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, and extends to Papua New Guinea and New Caledonia in Oceania. It's not the largest crab, measuring about 15 centimeters, but its spiny, irregular, and sharp appearance certainly makes it seem more threatening than most. The serrated part of the name comes from the teeth that run along the legs and claws of this marine creature. I don't know about you, but it sounds like it would definitely be uncomfortable to accidentally step on one of these crustaceans. This sharp and spiny exterior further complicates the situation, as the inside of the serrated spooner crab is poisonous to humans. Perhaps one of the greatest dangers this crab presents is the fact that it resembles other crabs, clearly more edible ones. Confusion is the biggest killer in this dangerous world of poisonous sea monsters disguised as harmless and tasty seafood. So, stay alert, especially when near these sharp and pointed crustaceans. If they don't kill you with their edges, they might end up hitting you with their lethal insides. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you liked our content, subscribe to our channel and leave a like. Also, check out other interesting content that is appearing on your screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video. See you next time.